You are tuned in to What a Baltimore Online Radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed are of the host and not of Lady J Media. Thank you and enjoy the show.
I know you do. I know you do, because that's what I do. I give you that kind of love that makes you come back. I'm your pusher, baby. I'm your
Hey, little black boy, let me holler at you for a minute. That I was once in your place. You should respect what I say. Some of the things I'm about to tell you just may save your life in a world where not much is right. Little black boy, you're gonna see and experience all sorts of things, but don't let your mind be locked in a chain. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unusual Favor podcast. Normally on Wednesdays, we would be doing Spitfire Poetry Shutdown, but today is the first day of season 2 of Unusual Favor. I am so happy to be here. It is April 27th, 2022. We have an amazing published author on the show today. I met this gentleman in one of the book clubs that I'm a part of, and I thought he would be absolutely perfect to be on for the first show of season 2 of Unusual Favor. I'm sorry, this gentleman has a published book called MOB to MOG. He's from Detroit, and I would like to introduce you all to Terence J Pope. How you doing, bro?
Oh, man, I am doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing, brother?
I can't complain, man. Same here. I cannot complain. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. You know, I saw you on one of the authors. I think it was like a page on Facebook or something like that for authors that I'm a part of. Okay. And you had just released your book. Yeah. And just like right now, the smile that you got on your face, man, is what made me like, damn, like what's going on here? And it made me interested in what was going on. It was your first book. And I remember the feeling I had when I first published my first book in 2020 during the pandemic. So tell us a little bit about yourself, the name of the book, and, without explaining everything in the book, I know you don't want to give it all away, what the concept is and how you came up with it.
So my name is Terence J Pope. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm 32 years old. I'm a husband. I'm a father, public speaker, para power lifter. So my book is called Sitting Down, What's the Tallest I Ever Stood, from MOB to MOG. And that is the acronyms from that is from gangster, from mobster. That's just a short version of mobster to MOG, man of God. I came up with the concept. It's a memoir of my life, my lifestyle that I live, being in a gang, and we'll get a little bit into that later, but just being in a gang and giving my life to God in Christ. And like I said, I came up with the book. Maybe I got a wife that was on my back, hard. She was like, look, it's time for you to tell your story. It's time for you to write the book. And, the purpose of the book was just to inspire young cats out here and even women, that you can change is possible, that you're not confined to your past, or you don't have to be a product of your environment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the book, what first of all, so you're from where do you reside? Where are you from?
The west side of Detroit.
Okay, west side of Detroit. So things that you have experienced in your youth is what kind of really fueled a lot of this for the book for you?
Yeah, so just kind of going back to even as a child, being abused, you when you read the book, you will see a lot of my experience that I dealt with, a lot of trauma and just obstacles. So just going back to maybe about 9 years old, having a father who was abusive, very abusive, physically abusive, a mom who was verbally abusive, being picked on in school, and not really having an outlet, being subjected to the gang and the influence in my neighborhood, it's kind of which led to that road of me getting off into the gang lifestyle and being eventually being shot because of a decision I made at 12. I tell everybody that I play with these numbers a lot from 12 to 21. The 1-2 is when I got into a gang, and 2-1 at 21 I was shot 7 times because of that decision I made.
Wow. So when you were shot, are you totally? I think you and I'm sure he'll be back. Terrance was just saying that he was shot 7 times. Now, at that age, at being so young, he was 21 years old. I can't imagine how that, that's got to be rough to be so young and to be going through something like that. Too many times in our neighborhoods we have, sorry about that, Terrance, I see you back in. Too many times in our neighborhoods across the country, man, we have so many shootings and things of that nature, you know what I mean? And it affects just about everybody, it really does. It's sad. It may not be at my doorstep one day, but I have family members who've been affected, and we've lost loved ones, young loved ones, because of the things that go on in the streets. Me being in Baltimore, I see a lot, I hear a lot of sirens all the time. I'm on the northeast side of Baltimore, not far from a college actually. But the violence and things of that nature is so real. It's very scary. You know what I mean? When you were, so you were shot at 21, and that had to be a hell of an ordeal to deal with at that age.
Oh man, it was crazy. I mean, coming from the highlights, I would say, being who I was in the streets, and then being shot to being paralyzed. I mean, I dealt with a whole lot of insecurity, a whole lot of I would say suicidal thoughts, depression. That kind of led to me to do more drugs. I was high, kept on suppressing my emotions with drugs, ecstasy and Xanax and liquor, things like that. So yeah, it was a roller coaster for me, just waking up knowing that I was paralyzed and I wouldn't walk again was devastating.
So is that what led you into your spirituality? Because for me, man, my life changed in 2020. I'm sorry, in 2013. And I started to write about it maybe 2014, 2015. I started to really dig into it and write. And at the time, spirituality was something that was kind of new to me. I never grew up in a church or anything like that. My wife had always been a member of a church, a family church. So being at a breaking point, man, in my life, I was 35, 36. I needed something. I was broken as a man, honestly. So I needed something to keep me, you know what I mean? So is that where you found your spirituality around that time?
It is, man. It's funny because it was 2013 when I gave my life to God in Christ.
Wow.
Man. Yeah. So it was the same year, man. So just go back to what I was saying. It was just like that depression, that suicidal thoughts, and just trying to, man, we got this mask on out here, man. So many men have the mask on out here, and behind that mask is, like you just said, a broken man, a man who just really want to find some kind of hope, really want to find some kind of purpose. And I was sensing that really strong at that time in 2013. And so a lot of my after me being shot in 2011, then a lot of my homeboys started going to prison. A lot of them started dying. It just it was just like a gate was kind of open for me to say, you know what, it's either you're going to keep on going and die the next time, or end up in prison like your homeboys, or you're going to do something different. And I just felt the call of God like strongly. And I tried other religions at the time, just trying to map out and see where I fit in. And I went to one of my cousin's churches, and then when I rolled up in there, I almost said stepped up in there. When I rolled up in there, man, it was just like, I think we all have this experience sometime to where when we go to a church and we feel like the preacher is talking directly to us, to where we feel like he's touching on everything that we're dealing with. And now I look back in retrospect, I do understand that is God just trying to speak to you and penetrate through your heart, get a message to you. And it was 2013. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this depression. I was, folding, and I was like, I'm just gonna give my life to God and see where it go. It was hard for me because trying to trust in stepping out of the known into the unknown and saying I'm gonna trust the God that I don't know. Right. So, but best decision I made, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Same here. Same here. Me joining that small church at that time was everything that led me to where I'm at now. Honestly, it really did. Yeah. It put me in a position to experience so many things. The pastor there, I don't see him often. Shout out to Pastor Michael Wallace, but I love him dearly. That man pushed me, and he always he just kept encouraging me. And one thing I noticed, I don't know if it was because of his background, but him being who he was, it was easy for me to relate to him on that level. You know what I mean? Yeah. As a Christian, because I know he's been through some things in his life. I know So writing for me at that time, man, was therapy at the same time. Like, did you find yourself being therapeutically healed in writing your own book when you were going over and putting your story together?
So I'm gonna share a story with you how it really came about. So me and my wife, we was going through, man. We was going through it, man. Like, the arguing, the beefing, and we was on our last thread. We like, man, she like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm done. And just communication was just not on board. We weren't on board with communication, man. And I was still dealing with a lot of wounds in the past, a lot of insecurities that I didn't even realize that I was still dealing with, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. Father was abusive, and not knowing how to communicate and convey myself properly, it always came up in aggression. So my wife was like, I ain't dealing with that. And I'm like, I ain't dealing with you. And so we was on the break, and then, that tough guy that mask on again. I don't care. You can go. And so they really get ready to go. And you like, whoa, whoa. Right. So that was that situation for me. Like, man, I called her bluff and she about to get out of here, man. And I'm like, wait, let's pause. Let's pause. And I reached out to my pastor. I was like, look, this is what I'm dealing with, man. I still feel broken. I still feel like I'm trying to be a better man. I'm a man of God, but I'm not perfect. And I'm just rambling on and I'm crying to him. He like, wait a minute. He said, what I need you to do, he said, I need you to start writing. He said, I need you to write, and I need you to figure out why and where these emotions are coming from. I need you to think back, and it was therapeutic for me when I began to write. So I began to write out my life and some things that I remember about my dad and some things that happened in school, and started to identify where these emotions was rising up from, right? Why I feel like I needed to be heard because I was always shut up as a kid, right? So I began to write, and then I just didn't stop. I didn't stop. As soon as I started writing, I was like, you know what? I might as well go ahead and write my book, So I did what I needed to do with that paper. I wrote that out, and I just was like, you know what? My wife just had told me, she was like, look, it's time for you to evolve. Yes, you have done a lot. Yes, you are a mentor. Yes. But she was like, this is not your level. She was like, your level was greater than this. And I just put the pen to the paper, started to write, and I began to heal. I started to have to go into those places that I avoided for so many years, the beatings, and then dealing with my mom who passed in 2000 and I think that was 2010, and just dealing with a whole lot in my life at that time. I had to just go back and revisit it, and it was really, really tough for me. I cried a lot of tears on those papers writing, but to my point and to your question, it was healing and it was therapeutic for me.
It's okay. This is crazy. So it's amazing to me, the similarities. That's what I'm telling you, man. That's what drew me. That's what drew me to you when I saw your post. Your wife, just like my wife, is very supportive. I see some of the things that you're doing,
Yeah,
and I see that
yeah.
she's in your corner. Shout out to Mrs. Pope, because she's definitely in your corner.
Oh man,
Um, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, no. I was just agreeing with you. She's the rock, man. Like he who finds a wife, man. That is true. That is
Absolutely,
true.
absolutely. And it's interesting because me and my wife, we went through hell and high water as well. Like we were
Yeah,
literally on the verge of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It was a lot of frustration and things of that nature going on. And it may sound cliches, but God is one thing that kept us together. And also for
yeah.
us, I'm a writer and she's creative as well. She likes to sing. She's a singer. She loves to
My
sing.
wife is too. That's yeah,
So when
yeah,
there was a time, man, where we both got in our creative spaces because we were so tired of the everyday arguing or whatever we were
yeah,
dealing with. I
yeah,
noticed for a while we were in a creative space where we just dove into that. You know, I went into my writing, she was into her singing and things of that nature.
yeah,
We did a couple shows together. When you were writing your book and you read over it, you know, that process before you send it off to the editors and things of that nature, what did that make you feel like when you first finished your story before you sent it off to anybody? What emotions did you have?
man. I felt accomplished, man. You know, I couldn't believe that I did it. And then so it was bittersweet for me because it's like once you read the book, you understand that I was totally transparent about everything. I was transparent. You know, I was talking to a generalized audience, but it was a happy moment because I'm like, man, Chance, you actually wrote a book. You know, like I'm amazed. You the first. You're about to be the first author in your family, right? And then it was like, but Terrence, you were. Then a critic in me was like, Terrence, but you was thorough. You know, you was very, very transparent. And so I was happy that I did it, but I was afraid, like, man, they're gonna judge me, you know, because people got this perspective, oh, he's a man of God, oh, he's perfect, and you can't do no wrong. The minute you get life to God, they forget that you're human, right?
Right,
And
right.
so it's not like I was only talking about my past, but I was also talking about where I was at in my present as well, where me and my wife was at in the present, what just recently. And so it was conflicting emotions, but you know, when I was super, super happy. But the minute I sent it off, man, I felt like, you know what, let them judge me. But it felt good knowing that I was the first author in the family, man. I couldn't stop smiling. I was reading over and over and over, just constantly reading, just couldn't believe that, you know, I actually finished the book, man. So it felt good.
Same here, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. And
Thank you.
same here. It's a great feeling, especially after all of the blood, sweat, and tears and the
Oh,
turmoil, and
man.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? All
Yeah.
of the sleepless nights and the
Ah.
worrying and the stress that you went through.
Oh, you
Because as
know it.
black men, man, that's just who
Yeah.
we are. When we have families, you know, we wanna be there for our family. We want to support our family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and when situations arise in our life where finances are hit or things are, you know, in a way of keeping
Yeah.
everything productively flowing, you know, there's ways that we deal with it. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you were able to write it out just like I was to deal with it, because I was at a point I could, if I really believe if it wasn't for writing and for poetry, bro, I
Yeah.
may have gotten myself in a stupid situation years ago where I
Yeah.
wouldn't even be able to enjoy being with my children. You know what I mean? I could have got
Yeah.
locked up, so
Yeah.
anything crazy, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and another interesting point that I didn't now, by you writing this story, you wrote this story basically about yourself.
Yeah.
When I wrote my book Unusual Favor, I had to get permission from my wife because a lot of the story is based around my wife. My wife is a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is where the story was based on, that and from my illness, right? I
Yeah.
found out I had sarcoidosis at the time.
Okay.
Um, so I spoke with her and I was like, babe, you sure? You know what I mean? You cool with me sharing this story? Because I sent it to a friend of mine who's a writer and a producer, things of that nature, somebody that I trust, that I played Pop Warner football with as a kid.
Yeah.
And the first thing he told me was, man, if you're okay with sharing your story and putting you and your wife out there like that, I think you got something. So I asked my wife, I
Yeah.
was like, how do you feel about me sharing it? You know what I mean? And what she said to me was, that's your truth. So if that's how you feel, then I
Wow.
want you to go. And it blew me away. I
Oh,
was
she sound like my wife, man.
yo, it blew me
Wow.
away. And it fueled me to just go ahead and just say, you know what? It is what it is. It happened. It was
Yeah.
then. Maybe this can help somebody else.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made sure I put that down on paper, and it was healing for me. What was the now? This is something that I'll never forget, but I want to know from you. What was your process like when you met your publisher and editor? How did that work out?
So I went through Fiverr. I went through Fiverr, man, and
Okay.
I'm talking about Fiverr. I'm hungry, man. I went to Fiverr, and it was good. Like I never got to meet them personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we were just communicating, and I had to read the reviews about the people who I decided to deal with. But I did meet a woman. She not personally, but we was chatting back and forth. And we dealt with her for so long with this process that she began to feel like family.
Yeah.
Right. It was so funny. It was crazy how I've never met this woman, but the way she encouraged me, the way that she like even making sure that everything was in place, worded the way that it was supposed to be worded, giving me ideas, and that was a good process for me. Like I said, I never got them chance to meet them personally, but they felt both of them. The one who does the editing and the one who how many books do you have?
This is my third right now.
So I'm still it's kind of jargon to me when I'm talking about the people and the process, but those who have helped me with this, it just felt like family. Even though there was the guy who did my I have to ask my wife for the lingo of it, but the guy who did the editing, he was the guy that actually did the editing. He was in Ghana.
Wow.
He was in Ghana. Yep. And yeah, so the formatter.
Right. But you know what, man? I'm so happy for you, bro, because I can see the excitement and the happiness in your face when you're talking about this. I really did. And it's interesting because, like I said, our stories they sort of align a little bit. Whereas though it was just such a life-changing experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was definitely a life-changing experience for me. And it's interesting because sometimes I'm like, well, if I could go back, I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't change it. I would leave it as it is because I learned from it so much, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I'm the same way. Like I won't go. I mean, even being shot, even being abused by my father, even being verbally abused, even the stuff, everything that I have experienced, I probably want to change a thing because, like you said, it made me the man I am today. Then it also makes make us more effective. So even with your introduction, I seen you talking to, as if you was talking to the youth, it made you more effective, made you more relatable. You can reach out to certain people that other people can't touch, but because of who you are and what you experience, you're able to relate to that person. Just like you said with your pastor, you chose your pastor because he was relatable. You felt like he can, you guys met at a common ground. So I want to change it, man. And I love the people who I am called to, man. I'm called to the people who are broken, who feel like outcasts, who feel like they have no hope. So I want to change it, man. This is my ministry. It's my ministry.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is, bro. And when it comes to the spirituality part of it, it's deep, you know what I mean? I found myself when I was finding myself, I found writing, I found poetry. You know what I mean? That's always something that I had a love for, but it was always on the back burner. I was a industrial engineer, so I was measuring manholes and in the woods all day. We were outside, and then I had to go in the office and do reports. So writing wasn't nothing that I thought that I would be doing. I thought it would be something I do every now and then, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when I got sick and went on disability, like writing became everything for me.
Wow.
You know, it became everything for me. So you also, as we can see with the muscles, man, you also are a power lifter as well.
Yeah,
I was
man.
looking on your page one day, and I was like, yo, you threw up. I don't know how much it was, but it was a lot of iron on that.
Yeah, probably about 350.
I'm about to say it had to be over 3, definitely. When did that start? Like, is that something you always been interested in as a kid?
You know what? No, man. I was a fat kid my whole life, man. When I got shot, I was 300 pounds, all fat, man. And so I've always wanted to get into bodybuilding. I wanted to get into powerlifting, not powerlifting, just bodybuilding. You know, just kind of wanted to tone up. I always wanted to be that person. I just couldn't find that confidence. You know how it is. You know, young, like, feeling like, this is too hard, it's too much, you know, and you psyching yourself out to believe that you can't do it. But that's why the book is called Sitting Down Was the Tallest I Ever Stood, because it's like I began to do things in a wheelchair that I wouldn't even do on my feet. And so I got into working out probably about 3 years after my injury. And then I recently got into powerlifting last year. A friend of mine called me. He was like, "Hey, man, you know they got the Power Olympics." I never knew nothing about it, and I met with the guy that he introduced me to, and he got me off into pair powerlifting, and I was like, you know, started to challenge myself, and didn't even know I could bench 3 something, but you know, yep.
Now, how did you transition, man? Like I said, because when I wrote my book and I started doing my poetry, I was a head deacon at my church, right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot on me because I didn't want my church or my pastor to look a certain way. I was doing things in public because of my poetry. I would share videos every now and then. I didn't have a lot of cursing in my poetry, but every now and then there was a bomb drop on some of my poetry. And it's funny because just like you just said, someone else told me a long time ago about that. Like, what you say isn't for everybody. Someone may need to hear what you have to say in the way that you deliver it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's one of the things that had me come up. That poem is called "Hey Little Black Boy." That's one of the reasons that made me come up with that. Just being frustrated. One of my family members was shot, and I was just angry, upset, and I started writing. I wrote this poem called "Hey Little Black Boy," and along with that and some other poetry that I wrote, I had to fight with wanting to release my poetry.
Yeah.
I'm looked at as a certain way, but I don't want to. I want to share this stuff, but I feel as though I may be letting this person down, or I may make this person look a certain way. And after a while, I had to just get over that. I love Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni, I saw a video of her at a college, and that's what changed it for me. You know, she basically said something to the lines of like, if you don't write what you feel as a poetic writer, then what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
I, that helped me to share my poetry more in places without feeling like, I'm being hypocritical, basically.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you writing your book? Because were you already a part of a church when you were writing this book?
I was. Yeah, I was. So if I get your question right, you're saying like how basically walking my line and still trying to be mindful of, the church.
Now, what's coming, like you said, they're going to judge me probably, things of that nature, So how did you feel before you put it out? Like, what made you say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and just do it. I don't care what anybody say,
Yeah, you know what? Because just like I stated earlier, I've learned that I'm called to my own people. I think what a lot of people try to do, and just not to beat down on the church, but mainly the church, man. Sometimes they try to like control your gifts or control, what you are doing and where you are called to. So you may feel like, hey, I'm called to do this, and then they say, well, you should do it in this direction. It was challenging to me because I'm like, you know what? One thing I never did was faked it. I'm like, either they're gonna accept me for me or they're not. You know, I think that, like I spoke on earlier, yeah, it was a lot challenging. It was challenging to release it because I was scared of the judgment from people, the churches. I mean, because I got detailed about some things that I done up in there, man. And so I just learned that, man, this is the walk that God called me to. You know, this, you know, like if I'm constantly worried about what this person is thinking, that person is what that person is thinking, I will remain stuck. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned to hear the voice of God, and I've learned to kind of like follow my gut feeling to, you know, like, okay, I may not what I heard somebody say it this way: everything that you do good will not always feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were called to do something, but it good, but it may not always feel good. So I've just kind of learned to just say, man, to heck with it, man, and do me, follow my gut feeling, man. And every time I do that, when I feel like I'm following what God wants me to do and not caring about what people are saying around me, man, I see that it always come out good. You know, that God always, you know, you got to understand, like we're underdogs, you know, so people always expect us to, for me, have always expect me to feel when I'm doing things my own way, but God always show up and be like, you know, our obedience is what got us where we at now. And, you know, I've learned that. I don't want to keep rambling on, but I've learned that. I've learned that just being obedient to what I feel and not caring about what nobody else thinks, man, it always comes out good. I would take wise counsel or wisdom from somebody. I would take the counsel, but I'm still going to go with what I feel, you know.
Right. And that's it's good that you do that. I do the same. It's not easy, but it's all about trust. You know what I mean? It's all about trusting God. You know, I mean, it's so deep that on some of the stuff that I believe. It's like, I went to my wife is a singer at a church, so for her church job, she goes and sings on Sunday mornings very early, and a couple times I went with her just to check it out, you know, and I like the pastor there is pretty good, and I went maybe a good 3 weeks in a row, and right after the third week, going into the fourth week, a couple of endeavors that I've been trying to get into, the doors open up so far. Times it's crazy, like it's just, and I'm sitting thinking to myself, like, because I took sort of a sabbatical. I took a time off from going to church. I was going every Sunday, you know, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, you know, on Friday we were selling dinners. I was dedicated to what I was doing, you know what I mean? And going there the last couple of weeks and then having these situations just open up, and I'm sitting back like, wow, really? Like, really? You know what I mean? What is there anything else for you from this book? Is there a second book coming? You know, are you thinking about publishing something else that may be totally different? What's next for you?
I do plan on publishing another book soon. I do plan on publishing another book. I don't know if you know, but inside the book that I do have right now, there are some reflective thoughts. So I give you insight into my life. Then I just kind of go back in retrospect, you know, just kind of giving the mindset that I was in at that time. So if I shared a passage or a chapter of the book, you know, a lot of people want to know, like, man, where was he at that time? Like, what was he thinking? So it's called reflective thoughts, just kind of giving the reader the mindset that I was in. Then very helpful. And back of the book, I got a discipleship in back of the book to where I'm asking questions, because I think that we have to get from just reading to implementing. You know, and I heard somebody say that a goal is only a goal until a dream is only a dream until you write it down, and then it become a goal. So I do have the writing portion in the back of the book, and then it will be a second edition to that book, man. So that's what I'm working on now.
I love it, man. Yeah, I love it. I don't have your book yet. We got to switch, you know, send copies to each other, because I have merch as well. I see you got shirts and stuff. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Before we get into another question, tell the people how they can get to your book really quick.
So you can purchase my book on Amazon. You can purchase it on Barnes and Noble, just basically on all book platforms. And I do have a link, transition7.com. That's my business link. You can purchase it on that as well. Yeah. So you look it up, put it in Google. You sometimes I just do it, just to stroke my ego a little bit, man. Just go on Google, like where I'm at, so go on Google, send out what's the
But
time.
hey, I did it, man. Look, when my book first went live on Amazon, man, my children was laughing at me. I was just running. I was excited. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? That was an accomplishment for me as well. I grew up playing sports. Like my dad was a Pop Warner football coach. So but he loved education, right? He used to make me and my brother read into a tape recorder at night when he worked. He would work 4 to 12. So when we came home from school, he was gone. So we would read. He would pick an article out the newspaper and make us read it into this tape recorder. So when he came home, when we supposed to be asleep, we was watching Arsenio Hall, but we supposed to be asleep, and he would read, listen to it. Wow. So I feel you, man. When my book first went live, I just kept every other hour. Like, damn, that's me.
Yeah. I almost ordered my own book.
I did. I definitely did. So look, man, what would you say to I'm sorry, somebody would be trying. What would you say to that young brother, man, that's out there who is in an environment, Terrance, where it just he don't see a way out. You know what I mean? What would you say to him to try to help him to keep himself out of trouble? What advice would you give to him to try to have type of substantial future? What would you say to him?
I would just say that you're not confined to your circumstances. That change is possible. And that it don't take. I think the big misconception is that we looking at these guys on social media and we looking at the results. We looking at the results of things, but they don't show us the work, the small details that it take to get us where we want to be. And I would just say to a young brother that all you have to do is take the first step. Take the first step to change. Is that I believe that anytime you begin to take that first, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy road. There will be obstacles, but if he can just keep moving forward, that he will end up, that young brother will end up on the other side where the light is. That it's possible. I'll share my story. Even being confined to my environment, thinking that I couldn't make it out. And also getting around people who are conducive to your growth. Get from around them knuckleheads. Get from around people that don't mean you no good. Because we are a product of our environment. What is the saying that if you hang around 4 broke people, you'll be the what?
Right.
You'll be the 5th one. If you hang around 4 guys who are stuck and don't want to do nothing with life, then you will be the 5th one. So in my experience, get around some guys who are conducive to your growth, who will pour into you. Get around real friends, men who want to see you succeed in life, and not nobody who is going to just kind of pour into that foolishness. That's what I would say. That change is possible. And
absolutely. I see that you have been doing a lot of book signings. You got merch with your books, t-shirts, and things like that. What is something that someone has said to you though, bro, since you have published this book, right? What is it that someone has said to you that was like so humbling to you that it really kind of made you a little emotional or just messed you up? You know what I mean? I shared a poem at a church one time, and a lady came up to me afterwards, and it made me look at what I do totally different. I felt a sense of responsibility.
Man, you talking, man. Yes.
And say how I feel, you know what I mean? So what was that moment like for you when that happened? And who did somebody come up to you after one of your signings or read your book and tell you how to move them? How did that work out?
So so recently I've been getting a lot of people who have come to me and say, "Oh man, I read your book," and God is really getting all the glory from the book. Sometimes I'll be like, "Man, you didn't see how I say I stole that car? What you mean?" Like, but everybody like God is getting the glory, man. But I'm gonna tell you, it was never what somebody said to me. It was what somebody emotion that got me. It was somebody emotion. So my wife and I went to the gym maybe a month ago, and doing my usual, rolling into the gym, getting ready to go bench. And the lady stopped me. She was like, "Sir, I bought your book." And the minute she was like, that she tried to explain the book, she just poured out in tears. Tears, and she's sitting there weeping, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I'm not understanding. I'm like, was it that terrible? Was and I'm trying to joke with her, but she began to weep, man, and then I began to cry a little bit, man, because she was like, words cannot explain, what your book has done for me, how your book has changed my life. And I'm getting emotional right now, man.
Yeah,
just thinking about it, man. And I just felt like you said, that sense of responsibility, man, and just feeling like, that book was never for me. That book was never about me. It was about lives being changed. And, like I said, she never even had to say anything, but her emotion, those tears, was like, man, like Terrence, I began to think to myself, man, even in that moment, like, this is not about you. It's not about you. This is about the saving of lives. This is about healing for others. And so it was never a word that was spoken. It was the tears that was falling that done something to me. And like you said, I think you nailed it when you said you feel that greater responsibility. And then it kind of make you step up a little bit more too. Like we often write books and we talk about change, and it kind of make you reevaluate yourself and be like, man, you know what? Like, people are watching, and you are the embodiment of change, so make you want to step it up a little bit more too,
Absolutely. How about parents? You have any parents that have come up to you and have been interested in your book because they got children, they got young sons and daughters? It's on both sides nowadays. Everybody, the girls are getting into it just as much as the boys. I got 2 daughters myself, 13. My oldest will be 13 in May, and I got a 10-year-old. And I try to, have as much conversation with them as I can about just about anything they want to talk about. It's to the point where I get on their nerves, you know what I mean? And it's hot, they you know what I mean? They laugh about it, but I'm serious because I want to, instill in them as much as I can while I'm here, you know what I mean? And that brings me to my next question too as well. What, man, something, what's it like to know that you have left something here? You see what I'm saying? Like, God forbid, if the day tomorrow, you have printed work that's here, you know what I mean? That's here forever. What is that like for you? What does that feel like when you really realize that?
So that was really the ultimate reason, was to leave a legacy. So you'll read in the book where I was shot 7 times and I died twice that night. So I knew, had I left that time, that the only day that I will only be remembered and celebrated briefly. Like, after you gone for so long, man, people don't, they may celebrate your birthday and your death day, but after so long, it's like whatever. And that was the lifestyle I was living. Like, I didn't leave anything, And so when I wrote the book, it was like I was thinking about legacy the whole time. And I can be honest with you, man, that if I die today, I feel like I have accomplished that. I heard Les Brown say, live full, die empty, and I feel like if I died today, that I would die empty. I would have given everything that I was supposed to give. And it makes you feel good just to know that my son can grow up and be like, man, this is my dad's book. He may not understand my story now, but he may pick it up one day and be like, and read through it, and it may change him, and then not only him, but kids from generations from now, man, 10, 20, 30 years from now, man, picking up that book and saying, Terence J Pope was here, So that's what I live for every day, man. Just legacy.
Absolutely. Terrance, what would you like to see happen with our youth in the future?
Oh man, what I would like to see is unity, man.
Yeah.
I would like to see unity. I would like to see young brothers taking education seriously. I would like to see young brothers building their vocabulary, building their credibility, credit, just owning their own stuff, man. I would like to see um, man, so much that I would like to see, man. I would like to see guys, men stepping up, mentoring young men, showing them how to be leaders, young men growing into leaders. I love to see so much. I would love to see them getting the help, the mental health help that they need. I think that we avoid that aspect of it. Mentorship sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes we need to go get some professional help from a mental health specialist. Young man identifying, I'm dealing with depression. This is being able to identify depression, being able to identify anxiety or bipolar. That's what I like to see, man. Young brothers growing, stepping into manhood. I feel like that right now the women has the baton, and that's just my personal belief that, like, you see the women stepping up in church, you see the women out here leading. I think that I would love to see for the next generation of men really standing up, leading, and then I believe even after the men begin to lead, young men begin to lead, that the young women will begin to follow. So
absolutely, yeah. When you said you say mentor though, man, and I feel that energy bouncing off you even through this screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you a part of any mentoring programs, or do you lead any mentoring
I
programs?
I do. I have. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I have a business. Transition 7. Yeah. Okay. Transition 7. It's a mentorship program. So you can look it up online at transition7.com. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I figured that, man, because I believe you would be a absolute excellent advocate for these kids out here, man. Especially, it's interesting because a lot of these kids, like you were saying earlier, they follow, the rappers and all of that stuff that they see on social media.
Yeah.
But also guys like me and you who they think may have had a certain past, some of them will listen to you. You know what I mean? Because they feel as though that you can relate some of them. Man, it's been a pleasure to have you on, Terrance. I knew this was going to be a dope interview, and I got to bring you back so I can see what's going on with your book. Tell the people how they can follow you and anything you got going on, any events you got coming up.
So you can follow me on Terence J Pope, Facebook, Terence J Pope, Instagram, Terence _J Pope. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Terence J Pope. You just type in Terence J Pope everywhere. You'll see all my pages. And some upcoming events. I do have a powerlifting event coming up in July. So that'll be my current event. A few speaking engagements, but I don't think it's open to the public. But I will be posting it on social media.
Absolutely, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, man, because it definitely makes a difference and it's needed, man. You are definitely a superhero, and
thank you.
Your story and what you went through is something that is glorified by God, like you said, and it can be nothing to help somebody else, man. It really can. I appreciate you for coming on. Shout out to your lovely wife because she is a great backbone for you. I already see how she supports you. You know what I mean? I follow you on Facebook. So, and y'all are beautiful together, man. I love to see you guys smiling. You know what I mean? Congratulations on your anniversary. It was an anniversary, right?
Yeah, it's my anniversary, 3rd year anniversary, man.
Oh man,
that's a message too, man. Like, listen, you can find you a good one out here. No matter if you're crippled or not.
That's right. But, and you got to stick with it. It's a fight, man. People don't understand. We all look good together. That's great, but it's work. You know what I mean? It's work, man. When you with somebody who's willing to put in the work with you, like you have, it's a beautiful thing.
You know what? Before we go, I'm gonna say this. I heard a quote that said, "God said, I love the wedding. Invite me to the marriage." Because the marriage is ongoing. It's a constant growth. It's a constant togetherness. It's a constant learning each other and growing with each other. Like, that's the hard part, like being willing to grow, being willing to compromise, so.
That's right. That's right. Can you endure and deal and go through hell and back and still come out on the other side?
There you go.
With prayer, you can do it, man.
Oh,
it
yeah.
can definitely be done.
That's the refining. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brother, I appreciate you for coming on, Terrance, man. Be safe out here. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay in touch with you so we can exchange some gifts and things of that nature, because I would love to I feel as though to be blessed, we must bless other people.
There you go.
I've realized by blessing someone else, the blessings keep coming.
Yes.
They just keep coming. You know what I mean? They really do. So I was very interested in getting you on. So hopefully we can get, which I'm sure we got you some followers from over here in Baltimore, because the story that you have is absolutely amazing. I will be sharing your book on Facebook to let people know to go and get it and to follow you and look out for what's coming next, man. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it,
on, bro. Be safe out here. Be vigilant. Anything else you want to say to anybody before you get off the air, Terrance?
If I could say, just be blessed. Stay focused, stay hopeful, and you will overcome. Man, I appreciate it being here, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate you, brother. You be safe out here. I'm gonna stay in touch with you, man.
All right, let's do it, man.
All right, everybody out there, thanks for watching. If you want to be blessed, you must bless somebody else. Everyone be safe. Terrance, be safe out there. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right, you too, brother.
All right.
I know you do. I know you do, because that's what I do. I give you that kind of love that makes you come back. I'm your pusher, baby. You're a pusher.
Hey, little black boy, let me holler at you for a minute. I was once in your place, you should respect what I say. Some of the things I'm about to tell you just may save your life in a world where not much is right. Little black boy, you're gonna see and experience all sorts of things, but don't let your mind be locked in a chain.